Uh-oh.
Okay, we'll start with this. A fight announcement that caught me off guard because I just don't see the point in it. It was announced yesterday that WBC minimum weight champion Yokasta Valle will be moving up in weight 2 weight classes to take on former champion Marlen Esparza as part of a Golden Boy Promotions show. What seems like a waste of time to me. In reference to the fight, Yokasta said, "I'm taking a break from my division to take on a historic challenge, moving up 2 weight classes to face one of the best of this era, Marlen Esparza, in Cancun. I know there are champions who avoid risks, who don't want to fight the best. I am not one of them. From the moment this opportunity came up, I never hesitated. I want to leave a legacy in women's boxing to show that the best fight the best. This is a new challenge, a new goal, a 4th division. Soon, I'll be back to defend my title, but first, I'm going for more history. See you in the ring." I don't get it. Marlen Esparza is not a champion in the flyweight division. The undisputed flyweight champion is Gabriela Fundora, and by all rights, the fight that Golden Boy should have made was the fight between Marlen and Gabriela. Not this. Yokasta Valle sports a professional record of 32 wins with 3 losses, no draws, 10 knockouts, having never been knocked out in 35 professional bouts. The more experienced fighter of the two, having been a champion across 3 weight classes, as opposed to Marlen Esparza's 1. Marlen Esparza sports professional record of 15 wins with 2 losses, no draws, 1 recorded knockout, having never been knocked out in 17 professional bouts. Last in action in December of last year opposite the ring Arely Musinho, who she beat by way of a unanimous decision. She saw action 2 times last year. Once in April against Gabriela Alanis, who beat her by way of a split decision so that she could then rebound off the loss in December. And now she's going into this Yokasta Valle fight that doesn't seem to be for an alphabet title. If it's in the flyweight division, Gabriela Fundora has all the belts, all the titles in the flyweight division. So why make Yokasta Valle move up to fight Marlen? Yokasta Valle, who's coming off of 2 consecutive victories after her decision loss to Senicia Estrada in March of last year. She rebounded off the loss in July, then added to it in November, and currently she's the WBC minimum weight champion. I think a more adequate use of Yokasta's time would have been to get her a fight with one of the champions at her own weight, not have her move up 2 divisions to fight Marlen for no belt at all. Doesn't make sense. Yokasta's trainer, Panda Nahar, said as much. He said, "I want to take this time to congratulate the 6-time world champion in 3 different divisions, Yokasta Valle, for being a fighter of challenges, a fighter of heart that does not fit in their chest. For those who know, Yokasta Valle is currently the world champion in the minimum weight division, but came up on an opportunity to go up 2 more weight classes to face a former American Olympian and former world champion in Marlen Esparza. I swear, I did not want the fight for weight issues, but Yoka asked us to please let her fight. She was looking for challenges and that she knew what she was capable of. After many days, the team decided to listen to the champion and sign the contract of this fight, putting our title on pause some months as we have the opportunity and the obligation to defend in May. But Yoka, really, congratulations for being that courageous woman, exemplary, not only in your personal life, but in the world of boxing, and I feel lucky to be able to form part of your team and be part of this history.
What are Yokasta Valle's chances? I will say that opposite the ring Marlen Esparza, who is naturally bigger and well-schooled, Yokasta's not under much threat of being stopped. That I can say.
That Yokasta's not under threat of being knocked out because Marlen is not a knockout merchant. And I've heard it on more than one occasion that she can't punch. She can move and she can box, but she ain't got no power.
So there's that.
Though Marlen Esparza could still outpoint her because she's a mover, a jabber, a boxer, and naturally bigger. Just doesn't seem like an adequate use of Yokasta Valle's time at a time when the reset button has been hit on the minimum weight division and a new crop of champions have already sprouted. Wouldn't it have made more sense to get one of them for Yokasta?
Let Yokasta go unify with somebody and put Marlen Esparza in the ring with Gabby Fundora.
Those two are both on the same side of the street campaigning at the same weight. I don't understand what's going on here. It's almost like they're bringing up Yokasta so that they don't have to put Marlen in there with Gabby.
It just doesn't make sense.
Set to go down in Cancun, March 29th on the undercard of Zepeda versus Farmer 2, and we'll talk more about it as the fight date approaches.
In men's welterweight news, reacting to this past weekend's fiasco, Ryan Garcia took to his social media and stated, "What I'm wondering is, if the commission only makes changes when you cry and complain like Devin Haney, or do they actually care about the integrity of the sport?"
Do you?
Nothing against Tank, but since the commission switched my victory, they should switch this victory for Lamont Roach. They won't though, because they were out to get me from the very beginning.
Why would the New York State Athletic Commission have an axe to grind with Ryan Garcia? Ever since that whole thing started, he's been pointing the finger in every other direction but his own. The Haneys did it. Victor and Vada did it. Now the New York State Athletic Commission. They did it.
Stop it.
I believe that Ryan Garcia is just one fighter that's doping in the sport of boxing among many fighters that are doping in the sport of boxing. And this is just a case of a guy who didn't time his cycle properly, so you got caught.
Then why is he still complaining?
Because he knows there are other fighters doping in the sport of boxing, so he views it as unfair that he's being pigeonholed for it. The difference between you and them is you got caught.
Time you cycle better next time.
And for getting caught, look at how he ended up. Falling face first into an opportunity to box on one of Turkey's shows for a lot of money against a lighter touch. Because that's what Rolly Romero is.
Is this any kind of punishment?
Yeah. They suspended you for a couple of months.
But you were gonna be out for a couple of months anyway, like every other boxer.
So that when you come back, you can fall face first into a multi-million-dollar opportunity to headline a show in Times Square, backed by Saudi, against a lighter touch, an easy opponent, because that's what Rolly is.
A tune-up.
And it's supposed to be for a version of a WBA title in the welterweight division. The WBA has gone as far as manufacturing a belt for Rolly and Ryan to fight for.
So don't talk about integrity.
You're throwing stones in a glass house. You are literally coming off of a doping suspension, and the WBA still thought it prudent that you should get to fight for one of their belts.
There is no integrity in American boxing. The American boxer is not what he used to be. Whether you're looking at Gervonta Davis's situation or Ryan's, today's American boxer is a goddamn joke.
Oh yeah, Gervonta Davis' situation is bad, but so is yours. Test positive for performance-enhancing drugs, get suspended so that you can fall face first into millions and a title opportunity.
Quit your crying, Ryan.
He's got nothing to complain about. But he continued, Rollies, I'm gonna let you know through this tweet, and I hope you understand this truly. I'm not taking you lightly at all. I'm coming with some real anger, and I'm sorry it has to be you. You can say all the funny shit you're going to say Tuesday, but if you cross the line, I'm gonna slap you. I promise you. You are here to be funny. That's it.
I don't disagree with him there.
Funny is what got you here, so don't change course. Grandpa had your ass fighting for life, and Pitbull had you looking for Easter eggs in the ring.
I don't disagree with him there.
And I'm gonna have you lay your gloves down in the ring like an MMA fighter's retiring. Rolly is the poster child for what's wrong with American boxing and perhaps Americans in a general sense and their penchant for making stupid people famous because he's not even good at his job. The only reason anybody knows this kid is because of his sound bites and the stupid funny things that he says. I don't find them funny, but other people do.
I think they're stupid and infantile. I think he's stupid and juvenile.
I don't find any of it amusing. All I see is a piss-poor boxer who's getting by occasionally saying something silly when the cameras are rolling.
It's ridiculous.
But credit to him for turning his sparkling personality, not his pugilism, because he's not a good boxer. He is not a good fighter.
At the very most, he's a character.
A whimsical character, and he's turned that into several paydays. So you have to give him credit for that, but that's where the buck stops. That Americans don't even care if you're a good fighter or not anymore.
It's not sport.
It's brain rot, is what it is. So you got these two guys, Ryan and Rolly, in the main event. I think Ryan's fight is more winnable for Ryan than, say, Devin's fight with Jose Ramirez, a former unified champion, or Teofimo's fight with Arnold Barboza, who stylistically could give him a lot of problems.
So I don't see what Ryan has to complain about when you're coming off of a doping violation and a subsequent suspension, falling face first into millions.
Between you, Devin, and Teofimo, you've got the easiest fight. You've got the lighter touch, and you're the one in the main event.
He's got nothing to complain about.
So that when he stands on his soapbox harping about the integrity of boxing based on what happened this past Saturday, you're in no position to talk.
He's got nothing to complain about.
Went out there to, they had talked to Turkey Al Sheikh, but I don't know, man, you know what I mean? We're still, they want to do the third fight, but then we also have the #1 spot. We're able to, you know, control a lot of stuff. We're able to negotiate right now, so I'm just trying to, you know, like I said, man, I'm just trying to bring a lot to the sport of boxing. You know, at the end of the day, if they pay me what I want to get paid, I don't mind fighting on the undercard. You know, especially if it's going to bring more attention to the boxing, to the card. So I'm just really just trying to get the fans the best fights possible. You know, just yeah, and then just do what I'm supposed to. You know, at the end of the day, we're all supposed to get the fans the best types of the best fights, the hardest fights. So, you know, I'm just trying to live up to everything I've been saying.
David Benavidez is now saying that he is willing to box on the undercard of the Better Beef versus Bivol trilogy, and I'm not against that while maintaining my original position.
No.
I do not expect David to ever fight the winner of that fight, that trilogy. I don't think it's going to happen.
No.
But he has to do something in the in-between time because the PBC don't have that many fight dates, and even if they did, they don't have the bodies, they don't have the fighters in the light heavyweight division. Most of the money in the light heavyweight division is international money. Good chunk of it is in the UK, talking about Joshua Buatsi, Anthony Yard, Callum Smith.
These are not fighters that you're going to lure to America for peanuts on the dollar. They make very good money all by themselves. They're not going to fight on the cheap.
America and the PBC jointly don't actually have much of a stake in the light heavyweight division, and most of the money in it is international money, whether you're talking about Brits or Russians. To make the most money at that weight, you have to go international.
He doesn't have much of a choice.
So that when he says that he's willing to box on the undercard of Better Beef versus Bivol 3, I think that's what he has in mind. Underneath it all, he knows the PBC don't have anybody for him to fight. There isn't much of an alternative if you plan on staying in the light heavyweight division.
No.
Now, if you don't, and you move up, and you go through with that Zurdo Ramirez fight, that's only a momentary fix.
That's only one fight. The rest of the money in that division is international as well.
That if you are looking at Zurdo as a fix to your current situation, it's only a temporary fix. If you're lucky enough to fight him and beat him and acquire those 2 alphabet titles, the rest of the money at the weight is still international.
You'd be in the same situation.
And so the idea that he might stick around at light heavyweight a while longer and box on the undercard of Bivol versus Better Beef is a good idea. It's just what the doctor ordered. Who would he fight?
He could fight Callum Smith. He could fight Michael Eiffert.
And you know Turkey's going to pay him a lot of money to do it. Likely more money than he would make trying to do something in America.
With someone in America. I don't know who.
Because like I told you, A lot of those fighters in the UK, they make good money already. They're not gonna come here for peanuts on the dollar.
Nope.
The promise of headlining a show in America at a place like Las Vegas doesn't provide the same luster that it used to because it doesn't provide the same money.
He says they're willing to negotiate. He says they're willing to box on the undercard of Better B versus B Vault 3. What I hear.
They're in a place where they have to keep an open mind because you don't have 2 or 3 David Morrells lying around on the PBC side of things to keep you busy. So maybe you keep busy somewhere else on somebody else's dime.
Make some money that way, because what's your alternative?
I don't really think there is one, and I think that's lost on a lot of people, that they're not surveying the landscape at light heavyweight to see what are David's alternatives to working with Turkey.
What's supposed to be better?
He can box Callum Smith, who looked sensational in his last fight on the undercard of Better B versus B Vol 2 opposite the ring Joshua Buatsi, a fight that we've talked about here on the channel once or twice. I do like that fight.
Or Michael Eiffert.
Either of those fights provide a credible opponent for David Benavidez to keep busy with at light heavyweight. Both are winnable.
Winnable, not easy, but winnable.
Opposite the ring, Germany's own Michael Eiffert, he would be facing a pure boxer, a mover, a jabber, like Caleb Plant was a mover and a jabber. It's the same deal. It's the same stylistic matchup.
Just at a higher weight.
But stylistically, it's the same fight, having some experience in that department and the right base style for the job. You could go with David Benavidez to outwork, at minimum, outwork Michael Eiffert.
I don't know that David Benavidez would knock him out because he hasn't knocked anybody out since moving up the light heavyweight.
Outside looking in, it looks like his power at 175 isn't what it was at 168, but I do think he can be the busier fighter in the fight. I do think he can outwork Michael Eiffert.
Callum Smith.
I like that fight even better because Callum has proven to be a more devastating puncher at 175 pounds than David. Both former super middleweight champions that have since moved up in weight. Callum has more knockouts in this division than David. David hasn't knocked anybody out yet. Not at light heavy.
Callum has more power. Punch for punch, I think Callum punches harder than David, but he gets flustered within close quarters. And that's David's chance to win this fight. That if you crowd Callum Smith like John Ryder did, like Canelo did, and like Artur did,
if you put him on his back foot, you can disarm him.
By pushing him back and crowding him. Pressuring him.
Though you have to step into the kill box to do it, and because David Benavidez is no defensive wizard, he gets hit, gets touched up in there. That's where the contest lies. Can Callum keep distance and create space to catch David Benavidez coming in, or will David slip past the jab, slip past the straight punches, and outwork Callum on the inside?
That's the question.
And what is the ideal fight for a Better B versus B Vol trilogy? That undercard.